everyone, my name's Stonsey Boy, and welcome back to Reading with Stonsey. Today we'll be reading chapters 25 to 26, or pages 252 to 271, so 19 pages. So without further ado, let's begin. Chapter 25, Proxy of Death. The engineer liked to believe that his work at magnetic population laboratories was useful. Even though it had always appeared pointless, magnetic trains were already moving as efficiently as they could. Applications for private transportation needed little more than the tweaking. There's no more new and improved. It was just a trick of different new styles to advertisements to convince that stylish was all the rage. But the basic technology remained exactly the same. In theory, however, there are new uses that were yet to be tapped. Or else, why would the Thunderhead put them to work? They were project managers who knew more about the ultimate goal of the work they did, but no one had all the pieces. Still, there was speculation. It had long been believed that a combination of solar, wind, and magnetic propulsion would be required to move about in space of any efficiency. True, the prospect of space travel had been out of favor for many years, but that didn't mean it would always be. There had once been missions to colonize Mars, to explore Jupiter's moons, and even to launch to the stars beyond, but every mission had ended in utter and disastrous failure. Ships blew up, colonists died, and in deep space, death meant death. Just as completely as if it had been Glean, the idea of irrevocable death without the controlled hand of a Scythe was too much to fear in a world that was conquered mortality. The public outcry shut down all space exploration. Earth was our sole home, and it would remain so. Which is why the engineer suspected the Thunderhead moved forward on these projects so carefully and so slowly as not to draw the public's attention. It was by no means underhanded because these Thunderhead was incapable of underhandedness. It was merely discreet, wisely discreet. One day, perhaps the Thunderhead would announce that while everyone was looking the other way, humanity had achieved a sustainable presence beyond the bounds of planet Earth. The engineer looked forward to that day, and fully expected he'd live to see it. He had no reason to expect that he couldn't, until the day a team of Scythe laid siege onto his research facility. Rowan was awakened at dawn by a towel hurled at his face. "Get up, sleeping beauty," Volta said. "Shower and get dressed. Today's the day." "Today's what day?" Rowan asked, still too groggy to sit up. "Gleaning day," said Volta. "You mean you guys actually glean? I thought you just partied and spent other people's money. Let's just get yourself ready, smartass." When Rowan turned off the shower, he heard the chop of helicopter blades, and when he came out onto the lawn, it was waiting for him. It was no surprise to Rowan that it was painted royal blue and studded with glistening stars. Everything in Scythe Gotter's life was a testament to his ego. The other three Scythes are already out on the front, practicing their kill moves. Their robes are bulky, clearly loaded down with all the nature of weaponry sheathed within the folds. Chomsky torched a potted shrub with a flamethrower. "Really?" said Rowan. "A flamethrower?" Chomsky shrugged. "Not long against it. Anyway, what's the business is it of yours?" Goddard strode to the mansion. "What are you waiting for? Let's go!" As if they hadn't all been waiting on him. The moment had charged with adrenaline and anticipation as they strode toward a waiting helicopter. Rowan, for an instant, had an image of them as superheroes, until he remembered what their true purpose was, and the image shattered. "How many are you going to glean?" he asked Scythe Volta. But Volta just shook his head and pointed out to his ear, too loud to hear Rowan over the chopper blades, which made the Scythe's robes flail like flags in a storm as they crossed the lawn. Rowan did some calculations. Scythes are charged with 5 gleanings per week, and to the best of his knowledge, these 4 haven't taken a life in the 3 months that Rowan had been there. It meant that they could glean about 250 today, and would still be within their quota. This wasn't going to be gleaning, it was going to be a massacre. Rowan hesitated, falling back as the others got in. Volta noticed. "Is there a problem?" Volta shouted over a deafened chop of the blades. Even if Rowan could make himself heard, he would never be understood. This is what Goddard and his disciples did. That's how they operated. This was business as usual. Could this ever be the way for him? He thought of the latest training sessions, the ones with living targets, the feeling that he had when he rendered all but one deadish revolution fighting a primal sense of victory. He felt that now, as he stood at the entrance of the helicopter, which stayed closer, deeper into Goddard's world. It became harder and harder to retreat. All 4 sides were looking at him now. They were ready to go on their mission. The only thing holding him back was Rowan. "I'm not one of them," he told himself. "I will not be gleaning. I will only be there to observe." He willed himself to step back up into the helicopter, pulled the door closed, and they rose skyward. "Never been up in one of these, have you?" Volta asked, misreading Rowan's apprehension. "No, never." "It's the only way to travel," Scythe Rand said. "We are angels of death," said Scythe Goddard. "It's the only fitting that we swoop in from the heavens." They threw Slough over Falkram City to the suburbs beyond. All the way, Rowan silently hoped the helicopter would crash, but realized what a pointless exercise that would be, because even if it did, they'd all be revived by the weekend. A helicopter landed on the main building's rooftop heliport. It was unexpected, unannounced, and which never happened. The Thunderhead pilot just got about everything airborne, and even if it was an off-grid chopper, someone on board would always announce their approach and request clearance. This thing just dropped from the sky and onto the roof. The closest security guard bounced up the stairs from the 6th floor and onto the roof in time to see Scythe stepping out. 4 of them, blue, green, yellow, and orange, and a boy with an apprentice armband. The guard stood there, slack-jawed, unsure what to do. He thought to call this into the main office, but realized that doing so might get him gleaned. A female Scythe and Glean with witchy dark hair and a Pan-Asian leaning to her approached him, gritting. "Knock, knock," she said. He was too stunned to respond. "I said, knock, knock." Who's there?" he finally responded. She reached into her robe, produced the most awful-looking knife the man had ever seen, put her arm, was grabbed by the Scythe and blew before she could use it. "Don't waste it on him, Anne," he said to her. Scythe and Green put her knife away and shrugged. "Guess you'll miss the punchline," when she stormed past him with the others and down the stairs into the building. He caught the gaze of the apprentice, who lagged a few yards behind the others. "What should I do?" he asked the boy. "Get out," the boy told him, "and don't look back." So the guard did as he was told. He crossed the far stairwell, bounded all the way down, burst out of the emergency exit, and didn't stop running until he was too far away to hear the screams. "We'll start up here on the 6th floor and work our way down," Goddard told the others. They came out of the stairwell to see a woman waiting for the elevator. She grabbed and froze. "Boo!" said Stonsey. The woman flinched, dropping the folder she carried. Rowan knew that any of the Scythes on a whim could have taken her out, but she must have known that too, because she braced for it. "How high is your security clearance?" Goddard asked her. "Level 1, she told him. "Is that good?" She nodded, and he took her security badge. "Thank you," he said. "You get to live." And he moved toward the blocked door, swiping the card to gain entrance. Rowan found himself getting lightheaded, and realized he was beginning to hyperventilate. "I should wait here," he told him. "I can't, Glean. I should wait here." "No way," said Chomsky. "You come with us." But what use will I be? I'll just be in the way." This Scythe ran, kicked in the glass of the emergency case, pulled out the fire hatchet, and handed it to him. "Here," she said. "Break stuff." "Why?" She winked at him. "Because you can." Employees of the Suite 601, which took up the entire north half of the floor, had no warning. Scythe Goddard and his Scythe strode into the center of activity. "Attention!" he announced in a full theatrical voice. "Attention to all! You have been selected for gleaning today. You are commanded to step forward and meet your demise." Murmurs, gasps, and cries of shock. No one stepped forward. No one ever did. Goddard nodded to Chomsky, Volta, and Rand, and the four advanced through the maze of cubicles and offices, leaving nothing living in their wake. I am your completion," intoned Goddard. "I am your deliverance. I am your portal to the mysteries beyond life." Blades and bullets and flames, the office was catching fire. Lamps began to blare, sprinklers gushed forth icy water from the ceiling. The doomed were caught between fire and water, and the deadly sights of 4 master hunters. No one stood a chance. "I am your final word, your Omega, your bringer of peace and rest. Embrace me, the shepherd of fire." No one embraced him. Most of the people cowered and pleaded for mercy, but the only mercy done was the speed at which they were dispatched. "Yesterday you were gods, today you are mortal. Your death is my gift to you. Accept it with grace and humility." You'll focus on the sights that none of them noticed. Rowan slipping out behind them, crossing the suite 602. There he pounded the glass door until someone came, and Rowan could warn him that what was coming. "Take the back stairs," he told the man. "Get as many out as you can. Don't ask questions, just go." If the man had any doubts, they were chased away in the seconds of desperation and despair coming from across the hall. A few minutes later, when Goddard, Volta, and Chomsky were done in Suite 601, they crossed the hall to find 602 empty, save for Rowan, swinging his fire hatchet at his computers and desks and everything in his path, doing exactly as he was told to do. The Scythes moved faster than the flames, faster than the flow of workers trying to escape Volta and Chomsky, and blocked off 2 of the 3 stairwells. Rand made their way to the main entrance and stood like a goalie, taking out anyone trying to escape through the front doors. Goddard spouted his ritualistic litany as he moved through in panic mob and switched his weapons as it suited him. And Rowan swung his hatchet at anything that could shatter, then secretly directed whoever he could toward the one unguarded stairwell. It was over in less than 15 minutes. The building was in flames. Helicopters now hovering above, and the Scythe strode out of the front entrance, like the 4 horsemen of the post-mortal apocalypse. Rowan brought up to the rear, dragging his hatchet in the marble until he dropped it with a clatter. Before them were half a dozen fire trucks and ambu drones, and behind was hordes of survivors. Some ran when they saw the Scythes come out, as many as stayed, their fascination overcoming their terror. "You see," Goddard told Rowan, "the firefighters can't interfere with the Scythe faction. They'll just let the whole thing burn down. As if for the survivors, we'll have a wonderful public relations opportunity." When he stepped forward and spoke loudly to those who hadn't fled, "Our gleaning is complete," he announced. To those who survive, we grant immunity. Come forward to claim it. He held out his hand, the one that bore his ring. The other Scythes followed his lead and did the same. No one moved at first, probably thinking it was a trick. But in a few moments, one ash-stained employee stumbled forward, followed by another and another, and then the entire mob was apprehensively coming forward him. The first few knelt and kissed the Scythe's rings, and once the others saw that it was for real, they surged forward, mobbing the Scythes. Easy, shouted Volta, one at a time. But same mob mentality had propelled their escape, now pushed them toward their life-saving rings. All of a sudden, no one seemed to remember their dead co-workers. Then, as the crowd around them got denser and more agitated, Goddard pulled back his hand, removed his ring, and handed it to Rowan. I tire of this, Goddard said. Take it, share in adoration. But I can't. I'm not ordained. Then you can use it if I give you permission as a proxy, Goddard told him. And right now, you have my permission. Rowan put it on, and wouldn't say, but he switched it to his index finger, where it was a bit more snug. Then he held out his hand to the other side did. The crush of people didn't care which finger ring of one, or even if his hand it was on. They practically climbed over one another, kissing, thanking for his justice, his love, and his mercy, calling him your honor, not even noticing he wasn't a Scythe. Welcome to the life as a god, Scythe Volta said to him, while behind them was a building burned to the ground. We are wise, but not perfect, insightful, but not all-seeing. We know that by establishing the Scythedom, we will be doing something very necessary, but we, the first Scythes, still have our misgivings. Human nature is both predictable and mysterious, prone to great and sudden advances, yet still mired in despicable self-interest. Our hope is that by a set of 10 simple, straightforward laws, we can avoid the pitfalls of human fallibility. My greatest hope is that, in time, our wisdom will become as perfect as our knowledge, and if this experiment of ours fails, we have also embedded a way to escape it. May the Thunderbird help us all if we ever need that escape. From the Gleaning Journal of H.S. Prometheus, the First World Supreme Blade. Chapter 26. Not Like the Others. That night they feasted. Although Rowan could not dig up an appetite no matter how deep he mined, Goddard ate enough for everyone. He was invigorated by the day's hunt, like a vampire sucking in the life force of his victims. He was more charming, more suave than ever, saying things that made everyone laugh. How easy, thought Rowan, to fall in with them, to be stoked into this elite club, just as others had been. Clearly, Chomsky and Rand were cut from similar cloth as Goddard. They held not the slightest illusion of conscience. But unlike Goddard, they held no delusions of grandeur. They gleaned for sport, for the joy of it, and as Scythe Rand so accurately put it, because they can. They were more than happy to wield their weapons, while Goddard inhabited his role as the angel of death. Rowan could not be more than a man believed it, or if it was all artifice, theatrically to add flair to the show. Scythe Volta, though, was different. Yes, he stormed the office building and gleaned his share, just as the others had, but he had little as their god machine carried them home across the sky, and now at dinner he barely touched the food on his plate. He kept getting up to wash his hands. He probably thought nobody noticed, but Rowan did, and so did Esme. Scythe Volta is always cranky after a gleaning, Esme leaned over to tell Rowan. Don't stare at him, or he'll throw something at you. Halfway through the dinner, Goddard asked for a final count. We gleaned 263, Rand told him. We're ahead of our quota now. We have to glean fewer next time. Goddard slammed his fist down on the table in disgust. The damned quota humbles us all. If it weren't for the quota, every day could be like today. Then Goddard turned to Scythe Volta and asked how his task was coming. It was Volta's job to set appointments with the families of the deceased, so that they could be granted the obligatory immunity. I've spent the whole day researching out each family, Volta said. They'll be lining up at the outer gate first thing tomorrow morning. We should let them onto the grounds, Goddard said with a smirk. They could watch Rowan train on the lawn. I hate the bereaved, Rand said, as he stabbed a fresh piece of meat with her fork and dragged it on a plate. They always have such awful oral hygiene. My ring always reeks after an hour of granting bereavement immunity. Unable to stomach anymore, Rowan excused himself. I promised Esme I'd played cards with her after dinner. It's getting late. There was no truth in that, but he threw a glance at Esme and she nodded, pleased to be part of an impromptu conspiracy. But you'll miss the creme brulee, said Goddard. More for us, said Chomsky, shoving a forkful of prime rib into his maw. Rowan and Esme went to the game room, played Jim Rummy, mercifully undisturbed while talking gleaning quotas and the kissing of rings. Rowan was thankful that Suicide King held the monopoly on misery in the room. We should get others to join us, Esme suggested. Then we can play hearts and spades. You can't play those games just two. I have no interest in playing cards with the Scythes, Rowan told her flatly. Not them, silly. I mean the servants. She picked up his discarded 9, Then the second one he fed her, as if he didn't know she was collecting them. Deciding her win today was payment for helping him escape the dining room. I play cards with the pool man's son sometimes, he told him, but they don't like me very much on account of this used to be their house. Now they all share a room in the servants' quarter, she added. You're sleeping in one of their rooms, you know. So I'll bet they don't like you much either. I'm sure they don't like any of us. Probably not. Maybe it was just because Esme was young, but she seemed entirely oblivious to the things that weighed so heavily on Rowan. Perhaps she knew better than to question things or to pass judgment on what she saw. She accepted her situation at face value and never spoke ill of her benefactor, or miraculously her captor, for she clearly got her prisoner, even though she might not see it that way. Hers is gilded cage, but it is a cage nonetheless. Still, her ignorance was her bliss, and Rowan decided not to shatter her illusion that she was free. Rowan picked up an ace, that she needed for his hand, but discarded it anyway. Does Goddard ever talk to you? He asked Esme. Of course he talks to me, she said. He's always asking me how I am and if there's anything I need. If there is, he makes sure I get it. Just last week I asked for a no, not that kind of talking, said Rowan, cutting her off. I mean real talking. Has he ever hinted to you as why you matter so much to him? Esme didn't answer. Instead, she laid down her cards. 9s over 3s. Rummy, she said. Loser shuffles. Rowan gathered the cards. Scythe Goddard must have had a good reason to let you live and grant you immunity. Aren't you at all curious? Esme shrugged and stayed tight-lipped. It was only after Rowan dealt the next hand that she said, actually, Scythe Goddard didn't grant me immunity. He can glean me any time he wants, but he doesn't. Then she smiled. That makes me even more special, don't you think? They played 4 games. 1 Esme won fair and square, 2 Rowan let her win, and 1 Rowan won, so it wouldn't be as obvious that she had thrown the others. By the time they were done, dinner had broken up and the others were going out their particular evening routines. Rowan avoided everyone and tried to go straight to his room, but on his way he heard something that gave him pause. He heard a faint sobbing coming from Scythe Volta's room. He listened on the door and made sure it wasn't his imagination. He had turned the knob, the door wasn't locked. He pushed it open slightly and peered inside. Scythe Volta was there, sitting on his bed, head in hands. His body heaved with sobs as he tried to stifle it, but could not. It was a few moments before he looked up and saw Rowan. So Volta's sorrow instantly turned to fury. Who the hell said you could come in here? Get out! He grabbed the nearest object, a glass paperweight, and hurled it at Rowan. Just as Esme was suggested he might. It would have left a pretty nasty gash on Rowan's head if it had connected. But Rowan ducked and the thing hit the door, leaving a substantial dent in the wood instead of in Rowan's skull. Rowan could have retreated. That probably would have been the most judicious, of course, of action. Believing well enough alone was not in Rowan's strong point. He was notoriously skilled at sticking his nose where it didn't belong. He stepped into the room and closed the door behind him, preparing to dodge the next blunt object heard his way. You might be quieter if you didn't want anyone to hear you, he told Volta. If you tell anyone, I'll make your life a living hell. Rowan laughed at that because it was implied his life wasn't already that. You think that's funny? I'll show you funny. Sorry, I didn't mean to laugh. I wasn't laughing at you if that's what you think. Well, since Volta was no longer throwing things and wasn't chasing him down, Rowan grabbed a chair and sat down, far enough away from Volta to give him some space. Today was hard, Rowan said. I don't blame you. What do you know about it? Snapped Volta. I know you don't like the others, said Rowan. Not really. Volta looked at him then, his eyes red from tears, and he didn't try to hide anymore. There's something wrong with me, you mean? Volta looked down, clenching his fist, but Rowan didn't move because he didn't expect to get a beating. He suspected that Volta would use his own fist against himself if he could. Scythe Goddard is the future, Volta said. I don't want to be a part of the past. Don't you understand? But you hated today, didn't you? Even more than me. Because you were just watching. You were a part of it. And you'll be a part of it soon, too. Maybe not, said Rowan. Oh, you will be. The moment you get your ring and kill that pretty little girlfriend of yours, you know there's no turning back for you either. Rowan swallowed, trying to fight down what little bit of dinner he had eaten. Citrus face bloomed in his mind, but he managed to push the image away. He couldn't let himself think about her now. Rowan knew he was about to limit with Volta. The only thing to do was shimmy to his precarious end. You only pretend to like gleaning, he said to Volta, but you hate it more than you ever hated anything. Your mentor was Scythe Nehru, right? He's very old school, which means he chose you for your conscience. But you don't want to take life. You definitely don't want to take dozens upon dozens at a time. Volta leads up, moving faster than it seemed possible. He lifted Rowan up and pushed him against the wall with a bruising slam that made Rowan sorely miss his pain-killing nanites. You will never repeat that to anyone. Do you hear me? I've come too far to have my position jeopardized. I won't be blackmailed by a snot-nosed apprentice. Is that what you think I'm doing? Blackmailing you? Don't toy with me, growled Volta. I know why you're here. Rowan was genuinely disappointed. I thought you knew me. No one more. And Volta loosened his grip. Nobody knows anyone, do they? He said. I promise I won't tell anyone, and I don't want anything from you. Volta finally backed off. I'm sorry. After you've been surrounded by so much scheming, you start to think that's how everyone plays. He sat back down on the bed. I believe you, because I know you're better than that. In fact, I knew from the moment God had brought you in, he sees you as a challenge. Because if he could turn you into one of Faraday's apprentices to his way of thinking, it proves he could turn anyone. Then it occurred to Rowan that Volta wasn't all that much older than him. He had always feigned a confidence that had made him seem older, but now his vulnerability revealed the truth. He was 20 at most, which meant he had only been a Scythe for a couple of years. Rowan didn't know the path which led him from an old guard Scythe to Goddard, but he couldn't imagine. He could see how a junior Scythe might gravitate toward Goddard's flash and charisma. After all, Goddard promised his disciples anything human heart could desire in exchange for complete abdiction of one's conscience. In a profession where conscience is a liability, who would want one? Rowan sat down again and pulled his chair close enough to Volta to whisper. I'll tell you what I think, Rowan said. Goddard isn't a Scythe. He's a killer. It was for the first time Rowan dared to say it out loud. There's a lot written about killers in the mortal age. Monsters like Jack the Ripper or Charlie Manson or Cyber Sally. The only difference between them and Goddard is that people let Goddard get away with it. The mortals knew how wrong it was, but somehow we've forgotten. Yeah, but even if that's true, what can anyone do about it? Asked Volta. Future comes whenever we want it to or not. Rand and Chomsky and the dozens of other sick, twisted bastards longing to be Goddard's inner circle are going to dominate that future. I'm sure the founding Scythe must be rolling in their graves, but the point is, they are in their graves, and they're not coming back anytime soon. Volta took a deep down breath and wiped the last of his tears. For your sake, Rowan, I hope you come to love killing as much as Goddard does. It would make your life so much easier, and it's so much more rewarding. A suggestion weighed heavily on him. A month ago, Rowan would have denied that he could ever become such a monster, but now he wasn't so sure. The pressure to surrender was greater every day. He had to hope that if Volta had ever truly surrendered to the darkness, then maybe he might stand a chance as well. There is no official media coverage of gleanings, not to the chagrin of the more publicity-minded Scythe, not even large-scale gleanings set on the news. Even so, plenty of personal pictures and videos of gleanings are re-uploaded to the Thunderhead, providing a guerrilla record, which is so more exciting than enticing than anything official. Notoriety and infamy quickly evolve into celebrity and fame for Scythes, and even the most brazen acts harden further into legend. Some Scythes find the fame addictive and seek greater and greater celebrity. Others rather remain anonymous. I cannot deny that I am a legend, not for the simple gleanings I do now, but for the audacious ones I did more than 150 years ago. As if I were already immortal enough, I am further immortalized than collectible cards. The newer ones are prized by school children, the older ones are worth a fortune to the hardcore collectors, regardless of the condition. I am a legend, yet every day I wish I was not. From the Gleaning Journal of H.S. Curie. Today we read pages 252 to 271, chapters 25 to 26. Next time we will be reading... Oh, sorry, just got a... wrong picture. You'll see it in a moment. It's okay. Alright, next time we'll be reading pages 272 to... I said 22. 272 to... 272 to 294. Chapters... Well, I'm sorry. Chapter... singular, not plural. Chapter 27. Which, I'll just keep it right there. That's okay. Alrighty. Well, you guys maybe have already gotten a little hint of it. A little sneak peek. But it's time for... Reading corner of the day, doing it up Stonsey's way. Bop. Today we are learning about the Bull Terrier. You know what I mean? Like when I said it's from a famous video, the one TikTok video. Yeah, look at him. It's the do 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 do. You know, sounds like I'm singing the Flintstones. Anyways, big, dopey, dumb looking, and I'm pretty sure is the target dog. I'm pretty sure the Bull Terrier is the target dog. The dog, seen on Target. But anyways, I may be correct. Anyways, the history of the Bull Terrier target dog is that the bull baiting and dog fighting were long considered a great entertainment by many Europeans, and patrons are constantly trying to achieve the ultimate fighting dog. Around 1835, a cross between the bulldog and Old English Terrier produced a particularly adept pit dog known as the Bull Terrier. A later cross to the Spanish Pointer added needed size, and the result of the tenacious, strong, yet agile dog that became to dominate the pits. As interest in the expedition of dogs grew in England, a little attention was paid to these dogs so long associated with the lower echelons of society. With the abolition of dog fighting, however, some Bull Terrier patrons turned to this new venue to compete with their dogs, and they began to breed for appearance. Around 1860, James Hinks crossed the Bull and Terrier with the White English Terrier and the Dalmatian, producing an all-white strain he called Bull Terriers. The new all-white strain immediately succeeded in the ring, captured the attention of the public. They became a fashionable companion for young gentlemen who wanted a good-looking masculine dog for the sides. The dogs gained a reputation for defending themselves, but not provoking a fight, when they're thus dubbed the White Caviar. Not Caviar, Cavalier. The dogs gradually became more streamlined, and the Bull Terrier's distinctive head evolved around 1900. Crosses of the Stratfordshire Bull Terriers reintroduced color into the breed, as well accepted at first, but it finally gained equal status as a separate American Kennel Company, AKC variety, in 1936. The white variety still continues as a more popular variety, but both colors have enjoyed great popularity as show dogs and pets. Their comical nature and expression wins them many friends, and they have proven to be very successful in movies and advertising. So, and with that final thing, I think they are the Target dog? Like the dog you see on like Target? Like at Target? Well, not at Target, but you know what I mean. But you want to own a mascot for yourself. So what's the temperament? Are they good with kids? Well, the temperament of the Bull Terrier is that it's exuberant, comical, playful, assertive, and very mischievous, describes the Bull Terrier. It is an imaginative breed that often sees things its own way and is stubborn to the end. It needs daily physical and mental exercise, lets it exercise its powerful jaws at your home. For all its tough bravado, it is an extremely sweet-natured and affectionate and devoted breed. It can be aggressive with other dogs and small animals. That ain't gonna be good looking when it comes to the at-a-glance tier list. Alrighty, but what's the upkeep? How do I keep my mascot, aggressive doggy, in check? Well, the Bull Terrier needs to be entertained, either in a good exercise session or mental stimulation every day, preferably both. It's an active breed that enjoys a good run, but it's best to run it only in a safe area. It should not stay outdoors except in temperate weather, but it should live primarily as a house dog with access to a yard. Coat care is minimal. That's some good, at least. Then again, it was brought up as a fighting dog, so it only makes sense that it would be super, parlez-vous français, aggressive. But for the worst part, health. What are the major, minor, and, all the other concerns that could take our little friend away? Well, the major concerns in the Bull Terrier are sadly apparent. Deafness in the white ones, for some reason. It literally says deafness in whites. Kidney problems, hereditary nephritis, and renal dysplasia. Minor concerns look like heart problems, SAS, mitral stenosis, compulsive behavior, and allergies. They're occasionally seen with patellar luxation. The suggested test when you take them to the doctor once a year is hearing for the whites, UP and UC ratio for the kidney function, and cardiac thyroid. And their lifespan is 11 to 14, which it's a bit of a gamble because it could be decent, but it also could be short. Now, for the form and function of the Bull Terrier is a I almost called him a caviar. The Cavalier Gladiator. A good-looking, tough character, is strongly built and muscular, longer than it's tall. Muscle mass combined with a relatively low center of gravity make it difficult for the opponents to knock it off its feet. Its distinctive head not only shows off its keen, determined expression, but also its great jaw strength. Its gait is smooth and easy, its skin is tight, and a short coat, flat and harsh. Now, for the final section of today, the at a glance. So, 5 is the best, 4 is better, 3 is average, 2 is worse, and 1 is the worst, unless it goes to grooming. Now, energy levels out of 4, high energy. Exercise requirements are out of 3, pretty average. Playfulness is out of 5, very playful. Affection levels out of 3, pretty average. Friendliness towards other dogs, oh god. Friendliness towards dogs, out of 1. Friendliness towards other pets and strangers is out of 3, so pretty average. Ease of training is out of 1, so pretty easy to train. Watchdog abilities out of 5. Protection abilities out of 4, which is really good. Grooming requirements is out of 1, which is awesome. Cold tolerance and heat tolerance are both out of 3, which is average. The healthy weight of a male Bull Terrier should be 60 to 70 pounds, and a female Bull Terrier is 50 to 60 pounds. Very surprised there's not something like, oh, but if it's a white Bull Terrier, blah, blah, blah. And the average height of both a male and female Bull Terrier is 21 to 22 inches, because if it was feet, we'd be living in a world of giants. Huh. Well, sticking with the theme of having celebrities, next dog we'll be reading about is a huge celebrity breed that you may know if you like those weird little musicals. And it is the one we'll learn about in the next episode. So I hope you guys have a super fantastic, wonderful day. People like being efficient. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.